not invited.
Yes, there is a difference. I'm not sure that he is expressing that difference, but in my objective opinion, yes, there is a difference.
And why do you guys think that is? I saw his reason. He said it's because he made jokes about Epstein, about Israel, about all that stuff. Do you think that that's the reason he's not invited or banned? The reason
is he banned or is he not
invited?
Okay,
well, not invited. Well, Dana said, I saw him say that his main focus for putting together this card was he wanted people that
Sean Strickland is the reigning UFC middleweight champion. He just shocked the world by taking the belt back from Khamzat Chimaev. He should have been the face of the biggest event in company history, a UFC card on the south lawn of the White House. Instead, when the cameras rolled and the fighters walked out, Sean Strickland was nowhere to be seen. And according to Strickland himself, that wasn't an accident. He says he was told point blank that he wasn't welcome, banned, erased, quietly pulled out of the picture. Then Dana White went on camera and said something completely different, that nobody is banned, that Strickland could come if he wanted. Two stories, one champion, and a UFC machine suddenly doing damage control in front of the entire MMA world. Because the question that nobody at the top wants to answer out loud is simple. If the champ isn't banned, then why isn't he there? And why did this story explode the second he opened his mouth about Israel, Epstein, and the people pulling the strings behind the scenes? Buckle in, because the deeper you go into this, the worse it gets for the UFC.
I apologize, but you're not Israeli enough to go to UFC 250 Israel edition. The White House didn't clear you. And I'm not really surprised, I'm not really surprised. So, I think moving forward, I would like to just apologize to Israel. I'd like to say I'm sorry, I'd like to apologize to Trump. And I just want to prove that I'm Israeli enough for you guys. Like, for instance, whenever the list disappeared and Trump goes out there and says to everybody that he can't really go into it because people that by association will get prosecuted and their names will be tarnished. I want to apologize because
This is the moment the entire story detonated. Sean Strickland, sitting in his own home, casually telling the world that the UFC didn't want him at the White House. Not because he's injured, not because he's between camps, because of what he said. And the thing about Strickland is, he doesn't soften anything. He says it the way he thinks it, and that's exactly what makes the UFC sweat. He didn't say there's a scheduling conflict. He didn't say I respectfully declined. He said he was told to stay home because he mocked Israel, because he joked about Epstein, because he questioned who really runs the country. And the second those clips started bouncing around social media, the conversation stopped being about a fight.
We have Sean Strickland trashing the card, but we also have Bryce Mitchell at his recent media day trashing the US government and trashing the White House card as well. I'll give you a little teaser, but think of how insane it is that Sean Strickland and Bryce Mitchell in this particular situation are the voice of reason. It's absolutely insane. Now, I think Strickland is a little bit more desperate for attention and the virality that comes with it. But at the end of the day, we have Strickland and Bryce both criticizing the UFC White House card. And overall,
Take the photo op, they sell the pay-per-view. Strickland did the opposite. He told the most powerful sports promotion in the world to take his slot and his platform and stuff it. And the second he said that out loud, the UFC had a real problem. Because now every fan watching at home is asking the same question. If you're the company that always brags about, we let our fighters say whatever they want, then why is the loud...
If he's actually not allowed to go, if he is quote unquote, banned, barred from being able to go, I would imagine it's because, Dana White has acknowledged, he says crazy shit. And maybe he just doesn't want the fuss for such a massive event.
Sure.
If he's not fighting on the card, what is his role? Like, I don't.
He is the only male American champion.
So then you should have put him on the card.
Sure. I mean,
They didn't line up.
He did become champion
schedule.
recently. So I guess what?
Oh, I mean, it's a month. Like, what is he gonna do?
No, I know, but I'm just saying. I guess it will be interesting. Are all the champions invited?
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's
You know what I mean?
involved in
If all the champions are going to be there, we'll find out very soon, and he's not, then it feels like it was.
Ariel Helwani sees a lot of UFC drama. He's covered every press conference, fight, every Dana White meltdown, every champion fallout for nearly 2 decades. And even he sounded thrown by this one, because the timing doesn't add up. Strickland just beat Khamzat Chimaev, one of the biggest underdog wins of the year. He should be on every poster. He should be doing every interview. He should be walking into that White House event as the centerpiece. Instead, he's home, quiet, excluded. And if you've watched the UFC long enough, you know that when a champion gets quietly excluded, it's never random. It's a message. The question is, a message to who? This is the clip the UFC wishes never existed. Strickland on camera, ripping the entire White House fight card. Not subtle, not coded, not respectfully disagreeing. He laid into the event, into the symbolism, into the people behind it. And he did it in the exact tone that made him famous. Half pissed off, half laughing at the absurdity of it all. The UFC has spent years marketing Strickland as the say-anything champion. The unfiltered guy, the American who doesn't bow down. They sold that brand. They made money off that brand. They put him on posters because of that brand. And the moment he actually used that voice on a topic that made the wrong people uncomfortable, suddenly the brand became a liability. That's the contradiction.
You know, the pre-work for production and walk through the ellipse. I mean, when you guys see what we do Sunday just on the South Lawn, I mean, the ellipse is a whole nother animal in its own. It's incredible. Yeah. Rehearsals have you had? Well, we've done not necessarily rehearsals. I mean, we're testing the lights, and I think I told you guys this the other day. So we have cranes over there, and the cranes are working on all the lights. Once the cranes leave, we have guys that are like free solo rock climbing guys that will climb the claw and adjust any lighting problems we have. So.
And then this happened. Dana doubled down. Same message, slightly different audience. Same talking point. Nobody is banned. Notice how the answer never actually addresses what Strickland said. He starts choosing his words like a lawyer. That's the tell. That's when you know the situation behind the scenes is bigger than what's being said publicly.
Today, some yesterday, there's going to be a bunch coming out next week, and I'm doing even more. I'm doing like nonstop fucking interviews next week. As I mentioned, no one's asking about the fights, but what the other thing they are doing is kind of interesting to me. Namely, they are asking me, like, hey, do you think this event might be a little risky for the UFC in showing that there might be some political overtones to their product? And I'm like, you have to be fucking kidding me. You have to be fucking kidding me. Lady or sir, that train left the station a long fucking time ago. I've actually looked into this question. What is the most political sports organization?
And here's where the story stops being just about Strickland, because there's now a pattern. Derek Lewis reportedly moved off cards. Other fighters reportedly nudged out of certain spots. Now Strickland mysteriously sidelined from the biggest event in UFC history. Suddenly the question isn't, is Strickland being punished? The question is, how often is this happening to fighters we don't even hear about? The UFC has always pitched itself as the rebel sport, the sport without political correctness, the sport where the loudest voice gets the brightest spotlight. But what if that was only ever true?
Story to go through, so we're going to go through the many layers, including Sean Strickland's many responses that he's made online and his video response where he expands on the whole situation and explains how it went down, and also discusses his plan to peacefully protest outside the White House lawn for being banned from it. And also, Bryce Mitchell has weighed in on the topic. We've got to hear what Bryce Mitchell's got to say on this whole situation, because boy, did he have some things to say. We're going to go through that clip at his meeting.
Then Bryce Mitchell entered the chat, and Bryce Mitchell does not play. Mitchell came out swinging in defense of Strickland, hitting the one nerve the UFC really did not want pressed: freedom of speech. He said it plainly. If an American champion can't criticize a foreign government without losing his platform, then what exactly is the UFC selling anymore? And whether you agree with Bryce Mitchell on everything or not, the broader fan base lit up on that point. Because most American MMA fans didn't watch the UFC for 20 years thinking they were watching a polished corporate product. They watched because it was raw, honest, unfiltered. So when one champion gets quietly pushed out and
Or abandoned mines and abandoned towns when I'm in Vegas just for fun, and I've got 3 nails right here. These are some old historic nails, hundreds of years old right here. And I find them when I'm exploring, and I brought 3 of them today because I wanted to tell y'all that at one point in human history, 3 nails held up all of our sins. There was a man who is actually a God in the flesh. His name is Jesus Christ. They took 3 nails, they spread his arms out, they put both of his hands and then overlapped his feet and nailed him to it.
And Bryce wasn't done. He said the one sentence that turned this whole thing into a movement: "I'm not surprised." 3 words. And those 3 words did more damage to the UFC's narrative than any reporter's question could. Because "I'm not surprised" implies a pattern. It implies fighters know. It implies something has been quietly happening that the audience hasn't been told about. And when one champion says it and another champion confirms it, that's not noise anymore. That's 2 voices from inside the locker room telling you the same thing. That's when the fan base starts believing the story isn't paranoia. That's when Strickland's a wild card turns into Strickland might actually be right.
I don't need or want a coward support. You and Sean are relentlessly dumb as fuck. To which Sean responded with, "You're a real good boy. Time to switch your flag. If being a spineless bitch makes you a good America, you can have that title. Eat your goy slop. Just do me a favor and switch your flag to Israel." Justin fired back with, "I don't give a 2 shits about you or Israel. God, family, country since day one. You are dumb as fuck. You bash our country every chance you get and expect to step foot on the White House grounds. Have a party with the rest of your American-hating goons." Sean later apologized for his comments about the White House, but he delivered the apology in a blatantly mocking and sarcastic manner, which only infuriated some fans even more.
Well, you guys, I'm not surprised, but I got the call. I got the call. The UFC higher up.
And while the MMA community was tearing itself apart, other fighters started chiming in. Ilia Topuria, named Strickland melting down in press conferences. That was the product. That was the appeal. And now, suddenly, that same energy is a problem? That's the contradiction fans aren't going to forget. If you're still with me at this point, hit the subscribe button, because the next layer of this story is the one Dana White really doesn't want anyone connecting the dots on.
I don't know, man. I mean, I will say one thing, dude. There's some things I like about Trump. I like these building walls. I like the trade. I don't like the war in Iran. It's a gas tax on American, but he's a fucking G, bro. He's a fucking G. Like, literally, dude, millions of people want to murder you, and you're just like, bring it on, pussies. Like, that's kind of fucking dope.
Did you happen to see Dana White's reaction during the whole thing? They interviewed him afterwards. They were telling him to get under tables, and he said he just
Let me tell you, I'm sure Dana White is a sociopath. Like, I mean, let's be honest. Like at that level, let's be honest. Like at that level of like what he's accomplished, the kind of shit he deals with. Like I'm sure like he's a super narcissistic sociopath. So like for him, like.
And then Strickland responded again, called out Dana directly, didn't back down, didn't soften, didn't issue the typical UFC-approved apology tour that most fighters do when they feel the heat coming. He looked at the camera and basically said, "I know what this is." And that's when the story took its strangest turn. Because Strickland isn't just a champion fighting back against bad PR. He's a champion fighting back against the company that pays him. And that almost never happens in this sport. The handful of fighters who've tried it, Askren, Ngannou, Bisping for a stretch, they all paid a price. So when Strickland keeps pushing, keeps talking, keeps refusing to play the corporate game, the real question becomes how...
I think Callum's got a fight coming up, but is that something you'd like to match up, these sort of fights already?
Well, the fortunate thing for Callum is everybody wants to fight him, and there's lots of great matchups for him, so we'll get it figured out.
Is this where we're starting to see the Zuffa boxing plan take shape, right? You've got guys that you're bringing in, they're having performances, and then they will start matching up with each other based on the names they've already produced.
Yeah, I mean, when the best fight the best, that's what everybody wants to see. A great card, top to bottom, with lots of up-and-coming prospects, lots of undefeated guys fighting undefeated guys. Nobody has to worry about being cut or their money being changed with a loss. And, you know, that's how it works.
Was that Oscar De La Hoya said that was it, right? It was contractually that
What did Oscar De La Hoya say?
I think I'm right.
Nothing smart.
I think he said that you.
And here's where Dana said the line that really cracked it open. I don't think Sean Strickland's turned a new leaf. Notice what he's doing there. He's not defending Strickland. He's not endorsing Strickland. He's publicly setting expectations that Strickland is going to mess up again. He's pre-laying the groundwork for the next controversy before it even happens. That's a CEO protecting the brand. That's a CEO who has already mentally decided that this fighter is more trouble than he's worth. And once you read it that way, the White House exclusion fits in perfectly. Because if you're already preparing the public for Strickland is going to embarrass us again, then of course you're not putting him in front of a presidential audience. That's not a ban. That's containment. And containment is the move you make right before you decide to move on.
But no, you know what it is, dude? We live in a world right now where we're being like forced to conform to ideologies and beliefs that don't fit America. Like even, look at these Somali communities that come and just defraud the government. We are being forced right now as someone who built the Western world, who is a beacon of hope and freedom. Like the rest of the world models themselves off America, and we're being forced to import these third world motherfuckers that have really no right or beliefs or identity as America. And they don't come and they don't merge. They're not a melting pot. They don't come and say, you know what, man, I love freedom of speech. Draw any picture of Muhammad you want. Like they don't do that. They come here and they actively try to change their country to our country.
And to understand how we got here, you have to remember who Strickland actually is on a microphone. Watch this. The reporter steps in, the question hits, and Strickland doesn't flinch. He doesn't measure his words. He doesn't filter his thoughts for sponsors. That's the guy the UFC signed. That's the guy they put on...
I'm not going to say.
And let me tell you something right now. If a man says he's not going to say, like if you ask him, motherfucker, did you vote for Biden? He's like, well, I'm not going to say. That's none of your business. He voted for fucking Biden.
Sean, I'm glad you've had great experiences.
So this is what I'm talking about, you guys. The enemy of Canada.
Sure. All right. That's what it's got to be. It's got to be. We've got a pretty supportive gay and lesbian community in this city. I did want to ask you about something you wrote a couple of years ago. You said, if I had a gay son, I would think I'd...
Oh, look, another. I'm saying to you, the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
You become a champion, you become a star, and someone says...
Let me ask you something. Are you gay?
Have you had the chance to interact with a more diverse...
Are you... Let me know, are you gay?
Can I get an answer?
Well, no, I'm asking...
That clip is one of the most replayed moments in modern UFC press conference history, and the UFC profited from every single view. So when people now act surprised that Strickland is too much, that's revisionist history. He was always too much. He was sold to fans for being too much. The only thing that changed is which direction the two...
What a little dirty bastard. You post a light spar. Let me take the hat off before they cut me. I try not to represent Monster on any press conference where I say something racist or based, as they would say. Statistics, man. It's so weird how there's a racist these days. I don't know a lot of terrorists, but normally they're yelling Allahu Akbar. But no, anyways, man. But like that's what I'm talking about. Like the guy's just a little fucking rat, dude. One, I didn't even know we were filming, and those are our warm-up rounds. It's like, dude, you're just a weak man. You're just a weak man. I mean, wouldn't you?
And then there's the press conference rant from Media Day. Same Strickland, same intensity, same willingness to torch the entire room if he disagrees with one question. This is the version of him the UFC sold pay-per-views with. This is the version that made him a champion. This is the version that beat Adesanya, lost the belt, then came back and beat Chimaev. The UFC didn't create Sean Strickland by accident. They created him on purpose, with marketing dollars, with platform, with airtime. Then, the moment the chaos turned toward their business interests, suddenly it was time to put the lid back on. Comment below, was the UFC ever really fine with Strickland's chaos? Or were they only fine with it as long as it made them money? Because those two answers lead to very different conclusions about what's really happening here.
But obviously the night belongs to the new champion, Sean Strickland. Goes in there against the unbeatable Khamzat Chimaev, and he gets the job done. Khamzat was a minus 465 favorite going into this fight. And the only reason he was a 5-1 favorite was because of what people had seen him do inside of the octagon, and also what people had seen from Sean Strickland. We had seen Sean struggle at times, which I will get to. But tonight you didn't get that. You got a Sean Strickland that got taken down in round 1. Round 2 scored his own takedowns. Round 3 controlled the fight with a jab. Honestly, I thought Strickland made a mistake in round 3 by not really pressing on the gas, because I felt like Khamzat had a bit of a adrenaline dump, and if he really pressed him, he really could have made Khamzat struggle down the stretch. But he didn't.
Even Daniel Cormier, UFC commentator, UFC friendly, former 2-division champ, voice of the broadcast, was visibly shocked at the win. And DC isn't a guy who throws shade at the company easily. He works for them, he owes them, he respects the politics. But even DC had to acknowledge that Strickland just did something massive. A man that big, beaten by a champion that the company didn't fully expect to take it, that makes Strickland a real draw. That's pay-per-view leverage. That's media value.